Welcome to Synthesize This. In this episode, I'm going to be synthesizing a dubby sort of plucked chord sound on the Behringer Deepmind 12. Let's get started. So as usual, the first thing we want to do is initialize a basic patch. So we hold program and hit compare. And the other thing we want to do is make sure that the front panel knobs and sliders represent what we're hearing. So we can go to program and hit right, which will revert to panel. And now we have this basic simple patch to start from. So there's a couple of components to building these kind of dubby plucked type of chord sounds. One of them is the envelope has a key component because you want to get that plucky shape to begin with. And the other core component is that kind of dubby delay effect. And so we're going to start by approximating those two. We also want this kind of dark muffled timbre. So we're going to rely on the filter and the quality of the analog simulation of the analog delay for that. So first of all, I'm going to disable my sawtooth for oscillator 1. So we're just going to use the square wave. I'm also going to transpose down an octave. So we get kind of these subbier, dubbier sounds. So I'm going to engage both oscillators for this purpose. Oscillator 1, I'm going to make it 16 foot, which is going to be our kind of bottom end. And I'm also going to introduce oscillator 2 here. Make sure they're tuned in unison. And I'm going to make it 4 foot high, or not 4 foot high. I'm going to make it 4 foot range. And I'm going to reduce the volume a little bit because I don't want this to overpower the sound. I just want it to kind of accent our fundamental bass tone here. And that gives us a good foundation for the kind of beefiness of the sound we want. The next thing I'm going to do is alter my two envelopes, the VC and the VCF envelopes, to create more of a plucky sound. So I'm going to reduce the sustain all the way down. I'm going to bring up decay and release. And I'm going to mimic that same envelope shape for the filter. And right now the filter envelope has no effect because I have this all the way down, but I can engage the filter envelope effect here and then lower my cutoff frequency. And I'm going to bring up the resonance a little bit to add a bit of flavor. And then I'm just going to tweak these two to taste. And we're already kind of getting in that general territory. So now it's just a matter of kind of massaging these parameters. And I'm also going to bring up the portamento a little bit, which will add a bit of character. So that's good for a foundation of the sound. And now the key component is going to be adding that classic dub delay. So I'm going to use the T-rack delay here, or the TelRay delay rather, which is an emulation of the TelRay, which was an oil can based analog delay. And I'm going to tweak my delay time here. And mess with the sustain, add a bit of wobble. Change the tone. And then play with the mix so it's not too in your face. I'm also going to engage a multiband distortion unit here. Change it to a tube saturation and then play with the low drive. tweak the delay time a little bit. And I find that this distortion is a little too high, so I'm going to modify that a little bit. And finally, I'm going to add some reverb, just maybe a little bit of ambient reverb. And I'm going to go back and tweak the delay time. It's a little too slow. I'm going to increase the sustain on that and the mix a little bit. Another thing we can add is a little bit of noise, which will also kind of dirty up the sound a little bit. And that's about it. It's a pretty simple patch. So again, the key ingredients are the plucky envelope shape, low cutoff frequency so that we have a very kind of deep muffled sound. Typical bass patch technique where you have the two oscillators 2 octaves apart, and you have the kind of higher oscillator slightly lower in volume because it just adds a bit of character and doesn't overwhelm the sound. And then finally, the main sort of spice is the analog delay, which we've kind of accented with the distortion and the reverb in this case. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. I have many more Synthesize this, including other types of demo videos coming up for the Deepmind. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys later.